Hare Krishna, Namaste. Chapter 4, which is entitled as Jnana Yoga, Sloka 32. Evaṁ bahu-vidhā yajñā vitatā brahmaṇo mukhe karma-jān viddhi sarvān evaṁ jñātvā vimokṣyase. This is the last sloka in this section that we have been seeing so far, the karma-vedha, varieties of karmas in karma yoga, various practices. So let's remember the purpose of all that's been discussed here, the varieties, is to help one to clean one's consciousness, cleanse oneself from material contamination, and progress spiritually. Not to practice and get settled with the material benefits. Evaṁ bahu-vidhā yajñā. Evaṁ, thus, bahu-vidhā, various kinds of yajñā, sacrifices, the karma yoga forms, various sacrifices, the karma yoga forms, brahmaṇo mukhe, through the mouth of the Vedas, through the Lord, vitatā, have been taught elaborately, karma-jān, as arising from daily practice of activities, works, viddhi, know, tān sarvān, all of them, evaṁ, thus, jñātvā, knowing, vimokṣyase, will be liberated. That is, all these different types of sacrifice are mentioned in the Vedas, approved by the Vedas, and all of them are born of different types of work. Knowing them as such, one will become liberated. So it is mentioned here, by knowing these varieties of karma, one will get liberated. That's what the literal meaning of this sentence, sloka. But we should understand that it is not just by knowing one get liberated. It's not sufficient. It is by practicing what has been known makes one qualified to be liberated. All of them are recommended for ultimately bringing about liberation from the body, not to get attachment to the body. And this is what's been confirmed by the Lord herein from his own mouth. All these are performed with mind, speech, and body. So question might arise that of these, the jnana yajñā should be sufficient enough. Why the karma yajñā needs to be performed? Whereas in Arjuna's case, jnana yajñā, having this knowledge, is sufficient. Why is that war need to be done? Why should I fight? Why we need to know about this various karmas? Well, the answer is all these are born out of actions with the body, mind, and speech. Therefore, it's hard for one to not do the action. Therefore, you should see the war, the battle, also in action ordained for you. And you will certainly attain liberation only by fighting in the battle with a proper knowledge, jnana. By practicing these daily, what happens is, it cleanses one's consciousness and removes the obstacles that blocking one to spiritually progress. In other hand, if one fails to do what's been recommended by Krishna, then the obstacle will stay, and obstacle will become more stronger, and because of that, our consciousness is still contaminated, and there's no way one can think about liberation. There's no way one can think about self-realization, and no way one can have vision of the self or vision of Paramatma. So that completes the section of karma-vedha, the varieties of karma yoga. To summarize what we have seen so far in this section, from 25th sloka to today's, in the 25th sloka, daivam evapare yajñam yohinaha pariyupasate. In the first part of 25th sloka, it is said daivam. So by offering food, aradhana, archana, lighting lamp, bathing the deities, decorating with flowers, etc., etc. All these things falls under this daivam evapare yajñam. And the second half of 25th sloka, brahmaṇo apare yajñam yajñaiva upajhavate. Some take up the practice of doing homa, the fire sacrifices, and offering the ingredients, avish, into the fire. So that has been, these two are mentioned in the 25th sloka. In 26th sloka, Shrotradin indriyani anye samyagneshu jhuvati. Sabdhadin vishyan anye indriyagneshu jhuvati. The next two has been mentioned here. That is, one considers the controlling of senses as the fire. Into that fire offers their senses of eyes, ears, nose, etc. And the sense objects are offered into the senses, and the senses itself is offered into the fire, called controlling of senses. So this is we covered in the 26th sloka, the next two items. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. And in the 27, indriyan indriya karmani prana karmani chapare atma samyama yogagno jhuvati jnanadipite. Here, next two has been mentioned, where one sacrifices the jnana indriya and karma indriya into the mind, fire called mind control. Jnana indriya, eye by which we can see the forms, ear by which we can hear the sound, and so forth. And those things are offered as an oblation into the mind. Likewise, the vak, pani, pada, all those things are offered into the mind control. So that's one. And in 27th also, prana, apana, vyana, udhana, samana, those things are also offered into the mind. So we saw two in 27, two varieties in 27. And in 28, there have been 5 varieties been mentioned. Dravya yajñā, tapo yajñā, yoga yajñā, tatha pare, swadhyaya, jnana yajñascha, yatayah samshita vrataha. Dravya yajñā, the performance of sacrifice with some material objects, dravyam. Tapo yajñā, through some austerity. Yoga yajñā, by traveling to tirthas meaning the holy places, pilgrimage. Swadhyaya yajñā, mean by recitation of the Vedas. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 has been mentioned in 28 sloka. In 29, apane jhuvati pranam, prane pana tatha pare, pranapana gati rudva, pranayama parayanaha apare niyataharaha pranan praneshu jhuvati. In this, 3 varieties been mentioned: Puraka pranayama, Kumbhaka pranayama, Rechaka pranayama, where we saw how the inhale process and the exhale process and holding of the breathing process, these 3 is considered as 3 varieties, and those are another sacrifices being mentioned in the 29th sloka. In 30th sloka, sarvepi yete yajñā vidho yajñā kṣapita kalmasaha yajñā shishtamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam lokosti ayajñasya kutonye kurusatava. So here the clarification of what is need to be done, what not to be done has been mentioned, meaning by practicing these things, any of these things, should we still continue doing what we need to do on a daily basis, on a regular basis, the prescribed duties and occasional duties, or can we skip them? In this session, we saw the Nitya Naimitika Karma Panchama Yajñā in detail, where all these things has to be continued. Deva Yajñā, Pitru Yajñā, Rishi Yajñā, Bhuta Yajñā, Manushya Yajñā, and we also saw how easy it is to do these things on a regular basis. So no one should stop doing what needs to be done. It has to be continued. Not that because I'm doing something else, I can skip doing this one. So that's been answered here in this session. So from 25 to 29, everything has been covered on the varieties of karma. So 14 varieties has been mentioned. And in the 30th sloka, as we just saw, is coming to a conclusion. 30th sloka, starting 30th sloka. And in 31st sloka, Nayam lokasti ayajñasya kuto anye kurusatama, where it's mentioned that by not doing these karma, one can never get any happiness while they are living in this world. Then what to speak about other world, meaning liberation? There's no chance for them at all. So one has to take up these things and practice in their life, do in their life, even if they wanted to be happy in this world. And last sloka that we saw today, evaṁ bahu-vidhā yajñā vitatā brahmaṇo mukhe karma-jān viddhi sarvān evaṁ jñātvā vimokṣyase. All these many sacrifices that are mentioned, recommended in the Vedas, it's not something not recommended. It's all part of Vedas. That means these are clearly coming from the Lord. And these are the tools that one can practice, use to understand the real self, Atma, if one practices as per what Krishna has recommended. By practicing these sacrifices, one can attain the vision of self and the Lord as well, if they so desire, and will be liberated from the samsara. That is, get freed from the material world. No more birth, death, disease and old age. Evaṁ bahu-vidhā yajñā vitatā brahmaṇo mukhe karma-jān viddhi sarvān evaṁ jñātvā vimokṣyase. Namaste. Hare Krishna.